everyone. My name is Katina Popolkis, and I'm the Senior Education Strategist for Dell Canada. We are really excited to be part of the Canadian Intercollegiate exhibition this week. It's great to see so many incredible esports players and enthusiasts in this space. Today, for this panel, we want you to step into futuristic gaming lounges where inclusivity reigns supreme, and join our expert panel as they unveil the synergy between these immersive spaces and the world of esports hardware. We look forward to seeing you in the lounge. Come join us. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to talk about getting into the gaming lounge and doing a deep dive into our esports hardware. So we have a great panel discussion for you today. And let's start by introducing our panel to you. So first off, we'd like to hear from Christie. Welcome, Christie. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Christie Tomich. I'm based in Austin, Texas. I am part of our marketing organization, and I lead a team called Programs, Partnerships, and Communities. So thanks for having me, Katina.
Wonderful. So lovely to have you here. And welcome, Lynette. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lynette Morris. I am responsible for consumer partnerships for our Alienware team, and that includes our Alienware Mobile Lounge, and I'm located in Austin, Texas.
All right. Next up, we will have Leo. Leo Atkins, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name's Leo Atkins. I'm a client technologist at Dell. I have a focus on esports and Alienware, and I'm located in Vancouver, BC.
Wonderful. Well, this is going to be a great crew to talk about the esports gaming lounges and mobile lounge and gaming space with Alienware hardware. So we're going to start with the first question with Christie. And Christie, our first question to you is, tell us more about the gaming lounge project that you're doing. How did Dell's initiative to put gaming lounges in universities and post-secondaries develop? And why did you start with UT? And is this project part of a larger campaign to reach post-secondary and higher ed students?
Yeah, so, I would say it was an iterative strategy. So we didn't start 2022 with the goal in mind of being part of the University of Texas at Austin's, gaming sort of lounge experience. But we started talking with them about their needs, and they were looking to create a space for students at all levels to game, not just their competitive teams, but really to make a space that was accessible for all. And they were actually building about a 3,300 square foot facility. But because of the pandemic, they were really getting a late start, both in terms of construction and supply chain and that type of thing. And so when we met with them in early 2022, we discussed this idea of building a much smaller space that would work to create some momentum. We felt we could get it built fairly quickly. We would build it in sort of an Alienware design visual ID. And that's really how it all started. It started as a conversation, and it just sort of grew and evolved from there. And before we knew it, we were building out a roughly 630 square foot space with about 13 different gaming stations, all built with an Alienware kind of brand voice and visual ID. And it was just a huge success for them, and kind of a starting point for us in terms of our gaming lounge strategy moving into this calendar year. The reason why we started with UT was, number one, it's right in our own backyard. The infamous, it's not an urban myth, it's an urban fact. Michael Dell went to the University of Texas, started Dell Technologies out of his dorm room at the University of Texas, and we've had a lot of partnership with them ever since. And so it made sense to really pilot this initiative with this partnership and right in our own backyard.
Right, this is great. So thanks, Christy. That's a great opener. And now I want to bounce over to Lynette. And Lynette, if you can talk about how the UT Austin Gaming Lounge inspired the build of the mobile gaming lounges. This is super cool. Let's hear more about this.
Thanks, Katina. When we embarked on the creation of the UT Gaming Lounge, our aim was to construct a haven of inclusivity, specifically for the UT students' gaming passions. But we didn't foresee the immense wave of enthusiasm that would come from us at all corners. We were swept away by the number of requests that we got asking us to put this haven at other universities and even within K-12 schools. And naturally, it was unfeasible for us to put physical lounges in every location, but the flood of interest kind of ignited a spark that got our minds going about what were the other possibilities to reach a greater number of students and the wider gaming community. And thus the idea of the mobile gaming lounge was born.
Awesome. All right. So thank you for sharing the introduction of that. And we'll come back for a bit of a deeper dive into it. But I want to go back to Christy. So Christy, let's talk about from conception to completion. Dell's partner agent Pinnacle had about 2 months to complete everything from the design to construction of this space, and only a week to install the corresponding kiosk. How did you pull something like that off?
Yeah, I think all of the stars aligned. We had some initial scouting of the space done in the April timeframe of 2022, and there was a big desire by UT to have the space open and ready for return to campus in August. And so I would say in May is when we kind of had our initial kickoff call. We went straight into design and layout of the space. We started rendering, and we really, hats off to our experiential partner Pinnacle. They kind of kicked it out of the ballpark, at the first review of the renders. It looked fantastic, and really that kind of created momentum to see it sort of all laid out. A lot of enthusiasm by the university. In fact, their facilities team were already painting walls before we actually could say, wait, they need to be this color, not that color. So a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of momentum from that first set of renders. And it was so close from the get-go that, we were able to really kind of go into detailed drawings and fabrication fairly soon thereafter. I will also say in the case of UT that we really didn't have to do a lot of GC, general contractor make ready. A lot of that, the space that we chose, we didn't have to change HVAC, we didn't have to change electrical. And so that really made it much easier for us to get started and to move quickly. But yeah, end to end, it was probably about, 2.5 months before we started building out the space, staging the space. We had our first soft launch event in mid-August, and then by August 31st, our ribbon cutting ceremony with the president of the University of Texas at Austin and some of our senior execs at Dell. So super fun.
Right. That is incredible, Christy. Thank you so much. I want to pop back on over to Lynette, and let's talk a little bit more about your mobile gaming lounge project. So we're seeing the bricks and mortar go in at UT, and then now we've got the mobile gaming lounge. What are some of your goals for the mobile gaming lounges?
I mean, I think they're very similar to the UT Esports lounges. The ultimate objective of any gaming lounge is to forge a welcoming community, give access to, high-tech PCs, and then make contributions to gaming and esports. So we did this by fashioning an environment that embraces inclusivity, hospitality, where individuals from all walks of life, abilities, identities, genders can come and partake in their shared love for gaming. And then have access to unrivaled equipment and technology. In tandem with this, we forged partnerships with academic institutions so that we could impart knowledge about gaming and esports to students with the various facets within the gaming industry, ranging from game development to esports careers. And as we continue to grow and learn from, our season 1 of the Mobile Gaming Lounge, we adapt our operations and take feedback from our attendees and visitors that in the lounge to help us refine our approach and help expand our needs of the ever-changing gaming community.
I love that. I'm going to go back to Christie because I want to build on Lynette. She was talking about like some premium, amazing gaming devices, hospitality. So in the bricks and mortar, what features and capabilities did you want showcased in the UT gaming space? And what was your shared vision for these lounges?
Got it. So first and foremost, right, we wanted to equip the lounge with our latest and greatest Alienware product portfolio. So we wanted to, in essence, create gaming setups that are comparable to what esports athletes use, right? So latest and greatest graphics and processors, and even our monitors were 360 hertz monitors. So right away, I think students were just blown away by the performance that they were getting out of the products. But it was also important for us to appeal to all level of gamer, from novice to competitive gamer. And so we included a console gaming area for those console gamers that prefer to game on a console versus a PC. We have laptops set up for more of the gamer that sort of games on the go. And then, of course, we have our flagship Alienware Aurora desktops set up throughout the perimeter of the space. Not only the products themselves, but also the programming around the lounge was important for us. And so, we worked very closely and continue to work very closely with UT as it relates to bringing in some of our partners like Team Liquid. The San Antonio Spurs came, making sure that we create these moments and these meet and greets and these panel discussions and these opportunities that go above and beyond just open gameplay.
Well, I know I find it all super exciting. And so thank you for sharing that with us. I want to just circle back with Lynette. And so Christie was talking about some of the great hardware that's in there, but I also want to talk about accessibility. So we know that accessibility is a key part of mobile gaming lounges. And how do you ensure that your lounge on the mobile side of things is inclusive and caters to a wide range of gamers, including those with physical disabilities?
Sure. The lure of esports lies in its inherent ability to foster inclusivity, which sets it apart from other athletic programs. Unlike traditional sports, esports embraces individuals of diverse mental and physical abilities. It knows no discrimination based on physical prowess, age, gender. So bearing this in mind, that is how we approach the design of our mobile lounge, with a steadfast commitment to accessibility, inclusivity, ensuring that it would serve as a space where everybody who came into the lounge could just revel in moments of pure joy and relaxation. And this ethos kind of permeated through every aspect of our planning, including the thoughtful curation of our game selection for every age group. So we have games ranging from Fall Guys, Rocket League, Quake, Fortnite, Apex Legends, and then furthermore, in our pursuit of physical design excellence, we meticulously eliminated any barriers to entry, so that if someone in a wheelchair came in, that it adhered to ADA compliance. So there's no stairs, there's fully accessible battle stations. So we really thought it through from both a physical and just a mental aspect as we were thinking about what types of people were going to be coming into the lounge of every gender, age, and physical ability.
A lot about the design of the gaming lounge, the bricks and mortar gaming lounge, and the mobile gaming lounge. Well, let's dive into what are some of the devices that are inside the gaming lounge. Can you give us sort of a highlight of what we would see in there?
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So when it comes to hardware, um, choosing the right hardware is one of personal choice, but also a very, very important one. So if we were to take a look at your average gamer, right? Your average gamer is going to have a portable machine, portable laptop that they can bring somewhere and hopefully plug it into some peripherals. And the peripherals are very personal in choice. So here we see a keyboard, a full keyboard with a number pad and extra media controls on it. RGB, super important. As gamers will joke, RGB makes your game run faster. Now, this particular keyboard is loved by many, but for some, they would choose what's called a 10 keyless. Now, Alienware makes a 10 keyless as well, which essentially is removing the number pad. But why? Why is that even a consideration? And it's really real estate on the desk. So as you're dragging your mouse across your desk, it can bang in to the side of your keyboard. And it's nice being able to chop off that 3 to 4 inches and be able to get a little bit more travel. So when it comes to hardware, is it important? It is. And it's highly personal. And don't even get me into changing up the keycaps into cute figurines and stuff that there's a whole sub-market for. It's great. Now, when it comes to the mice, do you want a mouse that you can rest the thumb on, or do you want it completely bare underneath so you can feel the tactile surface of the desk as you're dragging? Some people prefer that. And then, of course, there's the earphones. Do they fit? Do you want them full coverage? Do you want them open and flat? And then how do they mount over the head? Do you like having the cushion elastic with the aluminum bar that attaches both cups, or do you like everything sitting down on your head at once? Right down to, is there a LED at the end of the boom mic so I can tell if I'm on mute or not? Another important consideration. So hardware is absolutely an important choice, and it can also be very, very personalized, and we at Alienware are sensitive to that.
Okay, so thank you for that, Leo. So just a general question, and I'm going off the cuff here. As gamers, what do you think people like to use more? The desktops, the laptops, and would a beginner person, does it matter? Or should they be using the desktop? Or like, should they just go in and try the console, the laptop, or the desktop? What would your thoughts be on that?
Holy smokes, that is a loaded question. Okay, so do I want a laptop, console, or a desktop? And what's better? What a great way to get myself in the hot water here, choosing the best. So if I were to put up a laptop or a desktop, which one is better? There really is no comparison. The desktop is the faster unit, and it always has been. And just due to the amount of thermals it can exhaust out the back, it just has the headroom to run hotter and faster, which means it can push harder, it can grind more information. It just does a better job, but it's stationary. So that's the trade-off. So if you want the max capability, it's a desktop all the way. Now, can you pull off the exact same amount of performance gamer-wise, your game performance, your skill? Can you pull off that exact same move on a laptop? 100%. The main difference is going to be your render distance, because rendering creates heat. Am I going to be able to render as much on a laptop? And you're probably just going to pull in that render distance a little bit more, meaning that those trees that I can see 4 kilometers away on my desktop, you're going to see them 1 kilometer away because that's less rendering to do, that sort of thing. So there are certain elements that you would scale back on in order to increase the performance on a mobile. But what it comes down to, again, is personal preference. I'm an individual that games in the same space every day. So it's a desktop for me. Now, if I was a student, and boy, don't I wish we had esports when I went to school, I would love to have an Alienware laptop because that way I could just go anywhere, plug it in, and it would work. And I would know I'd have the best mobile gaming experience because I'm dealing with a company that has actually thought all of that out. So there is one that's superior, but it also depends on where you're going with it. So there's your answer. Well, the most important thing about hardware is that it's got to be fast. And when it comes to gaming, it's really easy to actually find fast hardware. I mean, all computers, when they're new, they're super fast. But the other big component is really the latency. And that's really about being fast, but also how fast can we communicate from where the gamer is to where the server is and back again. Because the way multiplayer gaming works or competitive gaming works is that everybody connects into a server and the person with the fastest connection does have an edge. So when it comes to networking, it's all about milliseconds. How many milliseconds does it take to get there? So what can you do on the hardware side to increase your chances? Right? And that's where Alienware really comes in. There's a super high focus on cutting down on that transport of all that information. So if we were to take a look at latency, this is what it would look like. What we have is first our input device. So that's going to be our mouse and our keyboard. And it can get really nerdy really quick. And that's not a diss. The nerdier you are at this stuff, the better the edge you're going to get. So let's take a look at keyboards. When you push the key down, there's a super high focus on travel. How far does that key go down? Because that's time. If it takes me 1 second to go all the way down and that key to take a second to come all the way up, that's a 2 seconds worth of actuation. And if I needed to start running the other direction a split second ago, I got to wait for that key to come back up. Also, when the key goes down, if you have a keyboard in front of you right now, you can test this. When you push it, there's a certain point where the key sort of wants to stop but can keep going. That's the actuation point. You hear it sort of click and then it goes the rest of the way down. Well, gamers, they like to remove that click. They like to have what's called linear actuation, which basically means that this plunges straight down and straight up again. And we use the best components for that. And so far, the best thing that gamers have come up with and latched onto is cherry red switches. So we make sure to include those in all of our keyboards. When it comes to the mice, how fast can the mouse click and how fast can it get that information into the computer so it can be sent to the server, but also how much does it track when you're dragging it across your desk? What's the DPI sampling rate? Can it track on glass? What sort of surface do you need? There's a lot of these inputs right down to the sliders on the bottom that gamers refer to as skates. What is the material of those skates so that it can just skip across? And when it catches one of your cat's hairs that fell on your desk, is it going to grind to a halt or keep going? There's a lot of thought that goes in to all of this hardware. So that's where it starts, input. And then from there, we have sampling. And sampling is essentially a way of getting all that information and sending it into the game engine. So, whether the computer itself is receiving inputs from devices or sending things into the processing for position, things of this nature, basically that all the elements of gaming, how fast can we do that and deliver that to the game engine? And then the game engine itself puts all of this together and then spits out a result. And you think that would be the end of it, and that would be the whole loop. But there's actually a lot more. When it comes to rendering, this is sort of a big thing. The rendering is comprised of multiple elements, which essentially means when I'm looking at the world within my game, the game doesn't render the entire world around you. It's actually only rendering what you can visually see. So outside of what you can see, the world doesn't exist. Because if it had to render all those trees and grass and all that stuff you're not looking at, everything would grind to a halt. So once it gets all of that information, it sends that to the render queue. And all of that has to be processed, which means you need to have the fastest GPU to sort out all that rendering. And on those video cards, do we have instruction sets that actually help the game render faster so we can do what's called hardware offload? That's in there as well. The next thing is going to be the compositor. And this is where gamers start to split a little bit. So there's two ways of PC gaming when it comes to, your resolution and how you have your game world. You can do full screen gaming or windowed gaming. Windowed gaming means you can essentially grab it and move it around like a regular window like you do today. If you're watching this on a video player or on a web browser, you can move that browser around, right? But at full screen, as it terms in gaming, full screen basically means you're locked and you have to actually go into a menu and exit. Now, when you're in full screen, that's the best. You've got the absolute best performance. everything is locked. When you're in windowed, which is how I play, I am not at the best performance. But why would I do that to myself? Well, the reason why is I play a game that has exterior elements to it. I have a web browser open that helps me click on things and it automatically switches the armor loadout that I have for my player in game. And I have this whole, GUI that I could use to do that. And I can't really get to it if I'm in full windowed mode. Or full screen mode. I have to use a windowed mode, which means the compositor in Windows has to figure out where all the Windows positions are and then optimize for that particular loadout. That's the compositor. And for gamers like myself, that's a really important piece in the chain because when that is considered, my experience is enhanced. And then beyond there, we've got scan out, and that's basically all your information encapsulated, and then it starts getting sent right to the display. And then display processing is what kind of monitor do I have plugged in? Is it 60 frames? Is it 120 frames? Did you know we have monitors to go up to 500 frames a second? That is insane. That's absolutely bananas. But when you can have faster frame rates, you can have better acquisition of target inside of your competitive shooting games. I'll show you an example of that in a second. And then finally, we got the pixel response. Not a lot of thought is put into pixel response. People usually think of the refresh rate as the pixel response, but the pixel response is basically what they call in the industry the gray to gray. And what that means is if that pixel is red, how long before it can go to blue and then the green and then the violet and then the purple? How fast can it switch gears? Because if I'm swinging my mouse around in the game world, I need the colors to be accurate because there's a lot of information coming into my eyeballs and I want it to process accurately, again, because I'm highly competitive and I want to be able to get that acquisition. All right. Okay, let's do an example of refresh rate. Now, when we take a look at refresh rate, we have three examples here, 60, 144, and 244. And what we can see is that if I need to target my opponent, I want to be able to see where that opponent is and then push my mouse button to actuate. Now, I want to be able to target where that opponent is, not where he was. And if I have a higher refresh rate, when I see somebody and I put my reticle on it, I'll be able to push my mouse button and things that happen. But if I have a slow refresh rate, they can literally have moved out of the way and I still think they're right in front of me. So on their screen, they see that they've moved. On my screen, I still see them where they were. So a high refresh rate monitor gives you a very real edge on being able to have target acquisition in these types of first-person shooter competitive games. Really, really big deal. High refresh rate is a really big deal. So now I'm going to show you an example of coming around a corner and seeing my opponent. And that opponent is going to try to get me where I'm going because they are using a slower screen, okay, a slower refresh rate. So I'm going to flip over here, and this is a game called Valorant. And we're going to see what I want you to take a look at is the person in the distance here, my opponent. You're going to see that they're actually shooting way off to the right, to their right. Okay. So I come around the corner, I see them. I have target acquisition because I've got high refresh, and I was able to get that tag, get that frag, right? Whereas the opponent was actually shooting over my shoulder because according to their monitor, that's where they thought I was going. But the amount of steps in between where they thought I was going and where I was, they had no refresh to calculate that. So they couldn't see that. Now, I'm going to show you a clip on how fast latency can actually have in terms of hardware as it is deemed towards a mouse. Now, this is an example of being able to push down your finger, push the mouse button, and then seeing how fast things happen on screen. Now you'll notice at the bottom of the monitor, there's a green light. Now that green light will go out when the finger is pushed down. And the next thing you should pay attention to is look at the game screen and you'll see that player, how fast it shoots. So they're going to push the finger, light goes out, and then it's going to shoot. And you're going to see how much time it took to go between that. We'll count that off in terms of frames. So here we see the player lining up their shot. They're about to push the button, and as soon as they do, that light is going to go out, and then 1 frame, 2 frame, 3 frame, 4. So roughly 4 to 5 frames before it actually registered on screen. Now, in reality, that's like that. But to gamers that do this competitively, they feel that time. They are so well tuned. You got to remember that these are real athletes and they practice really, really hard. And there's a lot of nutrition and all this other stuff that goes in. They train like real athletes. So when it comes down to shaving off those millimeters, they feel it. And this hardware, this example, really shows how quick those twitch reactions really, really work. Okay, now we're going to take a look here back at Valorant, and we're going to show you how quickly an attacker and a defender can actually see each other depending on the refresh rates that they're using on their monitors. So here I'm going to see my enemy in the doorway, right? So I come out and then I see them. From the defender's point of view, they see me strafing, and now we can see from both at the same time. You'll notice the attacker there. You can see the opponent. Now the defender is still slowly seeing me creep in, even though I've already stopped and I've already got target acquisition. How is that possible? It's like two different timelines. When you have a fast refresh monitor, you are able to get way more information, and it is an absolute edge on the enemy. So between console gamers and PC gamers, things are always different in terms of hardware. So if we were to take a look at a console gamer, they play at 60 hertz or 60 frames a second. Why? They're connected to a television. Televisions are 60 frames a second. You can get them faster, but by and large, that's what you're at. Now, when you move to a traditional PC, most monitors are 60 frames. It's really gaming monitors that push that envelope. So at a traditional PC, you're going to have, your selected hardware and then a monitor that operates at the same frequencies as a TV. Now, when you want to up your game and you up your computer hardware, what you're going to end up with is a system that takes down a lot of those milliseconds, lowers the latency, but you're still connected to a screen that's only 60 hertz. So you've done a lot of work getting your edge on the hardware, but you missed one component, and a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So when we finally get over to the far right, and we now have a mouse, a keyboard, a PC, or selected graphics card, and a screen, a display that can actually handle all of this refresh, what we now have is the absolute F1 in gaming. We have the hardware that's going to allow our skill to actually be translated into the game, and now nothing will be holding us back. And that right there is why hardware is absolutely important. When you select the right hardware, you give your athletes the best edge, and then you get the best results.
Holy smokes. That is so cool. I'm totally geeking out on that. Thank you, Leo. All right. So that is just amazing. You've done some incredible work there. Really appreciate it. I do have a bit of a follow-up question for you. So again, we talked about the design of these gaming lounges are to be inclusive spaces. And yes, we want to make sure folks are aware of, hey, if you're on that competitive side, do the novice or entry players or those who are recreational need to worry about these same sort of attributes that you were talking about?
They don't, actually. It's actually not that important for the average player. So here's a good way that I'll explain it. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia. And in Vancouver, a lot of people ski. And because I have very close proximity to Whistler Mountain, I'm fortunate enough that that's a local ski hill. So when I go there, I see a lot of tourists. And it's amazing to me how many tourists will invest a lot in very expensive gear, but when I see them ski, they're not pushing the potential of that gear. So why do you have it? Now let's relate that back to computing, to gaming, to esports. If I'm an average player and I've got the absolute Cadillac kit, am I going to take advantage of that? No. I'll be able to grow into it eventually, but I can just get the machine that I want to get, and I can show up and still have a lot of fun. I can still compete with those at my skill level, and I absolutely do not need the absolute best. But when I become an esports athlete, it's a game changer. I have to have that equipment because you can't compete at the top level if you're using, equipment that I used to use when I was playing Donkey Kong.
100%. I totally get that one too.
Actually,
Thank you.
I have a quick question for Leo, though, and that is on your last slide where you were talking about hertz and frame rates.
Mhm.
What if you're plugging a console into a 360 hertz monitor? Does that bridge the gap between, latency and all that good stuff?
It absolutely does. Yeah, consoles will take advantage of high refresh. Now, when it comes to console players, consoles traditionally connect to televisions. So they are running at 60 hertz because most televisions are 60 hertz. But if a console player did decide to take advantage of a higher refresh rate, there are higher refresh rate televisions, and you can also plug them into Alienware monitors in order to take advantage of those high-end refresh rates.
All right, Christy. So we totally dove deep into that Alienware. We geeked out. We know the specs. We know what to do to be competitive players. But let's go back a little bit. So blending Alienware and UT's brands into one space must have presented quite a challenge. Can you share how Pinnacle went from finding a cohesive identity for the lounge with two very different brand identities?
Yeah, so Pinnacle is our experiential agency partner. And it was a bit of a challenge because the University of Texas's primary color is burnt orange. And our Alienware colors are colors like violet and red and um, gray. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a challenge. And I think the way that we arrived at a solution was a super smart way where we have the exterior being very UT centric. So again, leaning into their school colors, burnt orange. And as you enter the space, you're still in sort of that world of the University of Texas. But as you round the corner into the primary gaming area, you clearly enter the world of Alienware. And so the RGB lighting, the textures, the shapes, we do a lot with hexagons, our branding, our colors, and of course, clearly our products as sort of the hero of the space. So it really is just kind of a very Alienware brand forward experience, which was super important for us. We know a lot of our competitors will donate product to universities for gaming labs or potentially sponsor various areas, but it was very important for us to have that kind of immersive end-to-end Alienware brand forward experience where students again could come and play and hang out. And if they didn't already know about Alienware, learn about Alienware. And if they did already know and love Alienware, even better.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now I am going to now circle back over to Lynette. And as a follow-up for you, Lynette, the mobile gaming landscape is constantly evolving with new games and technologies being introduced frequently. How do you stay ahead of the curve and ensure that your lounge offers the latest and most exciting gaming experiences for your customers?
Sure. I think there's really three things that we do to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve. One is just good old fashioned research. I think our team does a really good job of, digging into the latest technology and trends. And then the second would be partnerships. We have great partnerships with esports teams like Team Liquid, our friends over at NVIDIA and Intel are the game licensing companies. So we continue to leverage those partnerships in order to learn more about emerging trends. And then the last is really engaging with the gaming community themselves, right? Through social media channels, our Alienware Arena community, all visitors to the lounge. We are invited to take a survey so that we can get their personal feedback on their experience within the lounge. And the lounge was meant to be flexible and adaptable so that we could take all of that feedback and learnings from those three key areas and change our programming and operational execution as we move throughout our tour roadmap schedule.
Okay, Leo, we are geeking out on this. Really, give us the secret sauce. Is there something that Alienware does that no other brand for esports does? Share it with us, please.
you know, there is a little bit of secret sauce in an Alienware. So not too long ago, we stumbled across a solution. Well, we shouldn't say we stumbled across. We always knew there was this particular element called gallium, and gallium is an element that can transfer heat very, very well. Wouldn't it be great if we could use that? Now, initially, the answer is no, because gallium does not react well with the other metals that you build motherboards and microchips out of. So they would actually erode each other. So we couldn't do it. But at Alienware, figured out how to encapsulate gallium so that the gallium doesn't make physical contact with the PCB or the chip or the heatsink, but can still transfer using its transfer properties. We refer to this as element 31. It's called element 31 because gallium is the 31st element on the periodic table. And when you use element 31 thermal paste on an Alienware, it is beyond a shadow of a doubt the best performing thermal paste in the market. That is something that is exclusive to Alienware, and we include it in all of our products. So that is the Alienware leg up on high performance.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that secret sauce. That's super cool. All right, so we've talked about these incredible gaming lounges, both bricks and mortar and the mobile space. We know that we're supporting inclusion. We want all kinds of gamers to come. So from beginners to expert, super competitive folks. We know that inside those lounges, there's some incredible hardware that you can be leveraging so that you can have a lot of fun, compete, whatever it is that you like to do. All right, so panel, thank you for sharing with us today. What I'd really like to know is, what are your final words that you want to give to the viewing audience? What are your words of wisdom? It can be one word, it can be a phrase. Just share it with the viewing audience with us. Who'd like to give it a shot to start?
I'll go.
Oh, jinx.
All right, Christy, we'll start with you.
So I have two actually. The first is there is more to come. So we are not stopping with UT Austin and our mobile lounge. We are in fact bringing 5 new brick and mortar collegiate lounges online this year. So we're super excited. More news to come, but many of those will be opening this fall. And then the second one I would say is just stay good in gaming.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to hear more about additional gaming lounges across North America. That sounds super exciting. All right, Leo, over to you. Final words.
All right, I would say that, you know, I love gaming, and as I go through life, I'm going to keep gaming well into retirement, and instead of playing Sudoku, I'm going to be gaming. So my only advice to everybody would be stay sharp and just keep gaming.
Game on, eh? Right on. Okay, Lynette, last word over to you.
I would just add on that, it's been super exciting as we've been going through these mobile lounge tour stops and the excitement that school districts and universities have and recognizing esports beyond just gaming. They're really starting to recognize it for its professional and global competencies that gamers can get down to teamwork and problem solving and critical thinking. And it's been really exciting to see how they are so accepting of our mobile gaming lounge as it goes around the state.
Love it. Well, thanks so much, everyone. We really appreciate you sharing out about the incredible gaming lounges, both bricks and mortar and the mobile ones, and then the incredible hardware within it. We hope that our viewing audience really enjoyed this deep dive into the gaming lounge and know that it is for everyone. So game on, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the tournament this week. Bye.